Hi everyone, and welcome to a new episode of the Betting Diary after a week off last Sunday. So it's been all pretty good recently, to be honest. Tennis since the first round of the Australian Open, I think, has been really solid, and I think that's almost why I didn't need to have a long betting diary entry, because a lot of it just feels like I'm starting to get into a bit more of a flow state with my betting. I feel like most of my picks are pretty sharp, just need a few more big prices to really kind of get the profit up and rolling. But in terms of my main priority, which is the high limit market bets, because that's where the majority of my subscribers follow those, and then the different groups have certain subsections. But the fact that the high limit markets are at pinnacle, they're all been very solid recently. I think with our strike rate over the last 10 bets, I think we've won 7 or 8 of them. So it all feels very kind of progressive, and I like one thing I think I'm doing well this year is balancing my odds ranges really nicely. I think the majority of my bets are kind of around that 1.8 to 2.2 price range, and it's just nice to have consistent winners just to keep things moving forward. And it's one of those where the longer into a week it is, the more comfortable I'm getting with reading the tournaments, and staking 2 points at 1.9 is a lot easier than on day one, where like today, for example, I've gone for slightly higher odds range, looking at a few more underdogs. I think there's a bit more uncertainty. Stakes are a bit lower as well. So I think I'm just strategically playing things a bit smarter this year, and yeah, it's beginning to reflect in the results. So I just want to really keep kicking on. This week's quite a big week, really, and one which I like because you've got some really unique conditions at certain tournaments. Cordoba on the ATP side has a bit of altitude, but something that's really noticeable about those courts is just how the ball really kicks up. So it doesn't really suit the shorter players like Schwartzman and Baez, because they're often having to take the ball up at their shoulder length, and it's going to suit those with like really big forehand swings and high up backhand that they can just hit through and they can overpower opponents. So that's why we've gone for Cerundolo, because he's won this event before. He likes that kick off the surface. He plays with a lot of variety. Sometimes plays moon balls and then sometimes flattens it out. And yeah, his title victory at Cordoba a couple of years ago was very notable. And when you consider he's been very dominant at the challenger level, he's won sort of like 4 titles in the last 6 months or something like that at challenger level. And considering how weak this field is, to me, he's probably in my opinion, he's actually the favourite, which shows how open the field is, and it shows the price of 16 to 1 just feels too big. Like Schwartzman's just not playing well from the ground, and he's fought 3 to 1, and he's obviously being priced entirely on reputation at this point, and way too much so. So yeah, that's interesting dynamics of that tournament. And then WTA Abu Dhabi as well, super like slick courts, ball flies through. It's going to really suit attacking strikers. Like Rybakina, coming off a Grand Slam, is now into literally these conditions, look absolutely perfect for her. There's obviously not much value in betting her because the price is obviously very short at this point, after getting to the final even. But yeah, she's obviously going to be a massive threat. But also, just from a betting perspective, I think it's a tournament to attack certain player types and leave others. Like Kazatkina, for example, is going to be very opposable with courts where the ball's flying through this fast. Players like Krejcikova, who make errors in quick conditions, players like that you can oppose. And looking at players to back, sort of like Ostapenko. Today we're on Caster, for example. She likes attacking conditions. She likes being able to take the ball early. For me, Kostyuk's more of a counter puncher. And Caster's often someone who's very good in this price range, 2 to 3. It felt like quite an obvious bet for me, even if the market, like I'm not expecting the market to go in my favour in terms of closing line on these ones. They're just ones that I know for these courts and this angle, I'm pretty sure they're solid bets. Okay, so I'm just going to talk about this last week's results because for the portfolio as a whole, have been very good. Up £625, which is about 25 points profit, or I think my maths is right there. Yeah, I think it's around 25 points profit, which is obviously very decent going. I think for my tennis, it was around £180, which is about, I don't know, seven points profit. And I think all the tipsters apart from Portugal bets who made a short loss did very well. So yeah, it's really nice to see how the portfolio is progressing, and the overall ROI of sort of 8.5% is super rock solid, which is obviously I've mentioned in previous ones, that is my target, to try and get around 7-8% long term, because you can see already how with the amount of turnover we're creating on the bot with different services and activity, it adds up quickly in terms of being able to get a return on your capital. If we keep going the way it is, we could even double the bankroll in just a couple of months. So yeah, just great to see the progress of the tipsters, and super happy with the collection of tipsters I've got now on the board, just in terms of both their quality but also just their character. I assume that anyone that had any inquiries for the tipsters will find that they're very happy to help out and correct things, and that's what we want with the bot. We want it to be a very kind of fair way of recording prices and being able to cancel bets and that kind of thing. Talking of which, that is obviously the next new feature for the bot is going to be the ability to edit bets. I was saying earlier about how on the Bet365 group we had a bet at a price of 5.5, it was cut to 5.0 within 5 minutes. When that's the case, the majority of your subscribers probably aren't on the bet at the price that you've sent. So I need a way of being able to feel comfortable in not holding off betting too much, because obviously you want to tip early because you want to get the value in ultimately, and if you leave it too long, the prices get cut, and it's just pointless waiting that long for that to happen when you feel like it's inevitable. Like the bets earlier, I was sure like if I didn't bet them now, someone else will bet them, and then they're cut, and then none of the subscribers get it. So but equally we will obviously want people to get the prices on the bot. So yeah, that the mechanism of being able to just adjust the price on the bet after it's already been sent is going to be a really big help, and just a way of ensuring that I can feel comfortable tipping early, and it's not going to negatively have an impact on your bottom line results. Yeah, so there is actually, I'm going to cover something here, and that's a new service. We've got MW Value Bets joining the bot. I'm sure many of you would have heard of him already just from his track record. He's probably one of the best tipsters on Twitter at this point. For his main service on Telegram, he runs a private group and has an ROI of over around 13%, I think it is, over 3,000 bets, and has just had a absolutely huge weekend for the betting on that group. But he's also got a lower league system and some Scottish league bets that he's agreed to put on the bot as a service, and there will be Bet365 bets. There'll be about 100 bets a month. If you want more details on what the bets are likely to be, then we've got a list of the leagues on the web page. As you can see, they're not like really obscure leagues, and most of the leagues are sort of often top leagues in a foreign country that you might not usually bet on. It might be something like the Portuguese second division, or it might be the German second division, the Finnish top division, leagues like that. So they should be very accessible in terms of being able to bet the prices and not be too unstable in terms of price movements. We're gonna so all the bets will be at Bet365, so it's obviously important to have an account there, although we'll probably do what we did with bonds, and if someone wants to trial with utilizing different bookmakers, and that can be a possibility as well, just to see if you can match the prices, because I think there probably is a decent chance you could. But there is going to be a limit in terms of members at the start. We're just going to keep it to 20 to begin with, but there's definitely the possibility of kind of expanding that number as time progresses. It might, after a few days, if we see the prices aren't getting cut like really quickly, then we can sort of add more people, more subscribers. So but yeah, it's exciting to have him on the board, because it's unbelievable how rock solid his results have been over the last couple of years being a tipster, over a massive sample of 3,000 bets, and by his sort of reckoning, he's thinking for the lower league bets there's going to be around 100 bets a month, and he's sort of looking to attain an ROI of 7-8%. Actually is running above that for the time being, so yeah, more than likely that it's going to be another great addition to the portfolio as a whole. Yeah, if anyone has any more questions, we'll be releasing details of when places are released. They might have already happened by the time I release this video, but yeah, there'll obviously be a waiting list as well for people that might not get spaces right away. So yeah, like I haven't come in with a plan for what I'm going to say on this one, so I don't want to start rambling. So cheers guys, have a good week, and see you again next week.